It's time to live your stronger life. Hey, I'm Sammy, physio coach and nutritionist, and your hype girl for creating your stronger life. Here, we ditch the quick fixes and build real strength inside and out. So whether you're here to tone up, drop the body fat, build muscle, mental resilience, or ditch the diet culture, or just feel bloody good in your skin, you're in the right place. So let's get into it. How many calories should I eat? If I had $1 for every time someone asked this, I would be retiring before I turn 30, which is in a couple of weeks' time. But I get it, because the internet has absolutely not helped with this question at all. You've got apps telling you to eat 1,200 calories. You've got influencers saying calories don't matter, just eat clean. You've got one calculator saying 1,600 calories, another calculator saying 2,100 calories, and you have no idea which one to trust. So most women do one of two things. They guess, and they usually guess really low, because that's what diet culture has told us to do. Or they give up trying to understand it. It's too hard basket, and they just wing it. And then they wonder why they're not getting any results. So today I want to give you something genuinely useful. I'm going to walk you through how to actually figure out how much you should be eating in simple, no BS English, no maths degree required, so you can actually stop guessing and start knowing. So before we get into those numbers though, you need to understand what's actually happening. So what are calories, right? Your body uses energy. It burns calories. Calories are just a unit of measurement, just like centimeters are when you're measuring length. How much petrol's in your petrol tank is another one. How much percentage is on your batteries in your phone. Like, it is just a measure. It's a unit of measure. It's just energy. All it is saying is energy, and your body uses energy. It is kind of like a battery or a petrol tank. Like, it is literally like another way of explaining what calories are to your body. Now, you use calories in 4 main ways in your body, and this is called your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure. It is essentially the total amount of energy your body needs day to day. It is essentially how much petrol you need in that tank to get to your destination. And that is where then, if you have too much petrol in the tank, then you've got to store it somewhere, right? You put it in some extra jerry cans and you pop it in the car. That's like storing body fat. And if you do not have enough petrol in the tank and you need to tap into those stored jerry cans, fill it into the tank so you can use it for energy. That's how you lose body fat. That's like the calories in versus calories out kind of ideal. But let's talk about the total daily energy expenditure so you can understand that first, how much petrol you need to get from A to B. So it's made up of 4 main things. Number 1, the most important one, is your basal metabolic rate. And this is the biggest, most impactful one. It can be 60 to 65%-ish of your energy that you burn every single day just to stay alive. Breathing, heart beating, brain functioning, organs working. You could lie perfectly still in bed all day long in a coma, and this is the energy that your body is going to use. Now, this varies person to person based on your height, your weight, your age, how much lean muscle, like how much muscle mass that you have, and that can also help to influence it, plus just some other background kind of things. And it's not always going to be one perfect day. Like, you have really shit night's sleep, you're quite high stressed, you might be a bit unwell, your basal metabolic rate may be a little bit higher, or it's all these different things can have impact. So it's never just one specific number. It is a range, but your basal metabolic rate is basically the minimum amount of calories you need to stay alive no matter what you do. Then 2, we've got NEAT, which is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And this one is often not well estimated, can be a bit over. In a lot of cases, women think they do a lot more than they really do, but it's basically the one that can be the most impactful on your fat loss journey as well. So it is the movement that you do that isn't intentional exercise. That's just your steps, your fidgeting, standing versus sitting, walking to the car, cleaning the house, walking around whilst you're on the phone, just moving your arms and your body around. It is the biggest thing that can change when you're dieting versus fueling your body properly as well. So it can account for 20 to 25% of your daily burn, calorie energy expenditure, and it varies enormously between individuals. So this is why 2 people can eat the exact same calories and get completely different results. One person's, walking 12,000 steps at work, they're fidgeting, they're on their feet constantly, they're wandering around when they're on their phone, they just can't sit still. And then someone else who sits most of the day, the same diet, you're going to have very different energy outputs and energy needs. So NEAT is one of the first things that your body will also naturally reduce when your calories get really low. It's why as a deficit goes on, you start moving less unconsciously. Your body's protecting itself and saying, hey, it's too expensive to try and do all of this stuff right now. We need to turn down how much energy that we actually need in a day. This is the same as like, you're driving your car, you turn the air conditioning off, you turn the radio off, you turn all those little accessory activities that your car can do, and you put it into that bare minimum zone because it's just like, I don't have enough petrol and I have to try and make it last. And this is what happens when we're dieting for too long. Our body really adapts to this, and it's one of the biggest underrated impacts on a woman's fat loss journey that you don't even realize. It happens subconsciously. Another reason why we do recommend tracking your steps, because it is a kind of a more conscious way to actively fight against that by keeping your activity levels up a little bit higher without really burning out and pushing yourself to do like tons and tons of activity. Your steps are quite easy to manage. Okay, now we've got the thermic effect of food. This is number 3. It actually takes energy to digest and utilize, absorb what you eat. It's a smaller piece, it's like 5 to 10%, but it's worth acknowledging. So protein, if you have a high protein diet, it has the highest thermic effect. So your body roughly burns more calories just to digest protein than it does around carbohydrates and fats. So this is one of the reasons why a high protein diet can support fat loss. It's not a huge amount. Like, I'm not talking hundreds of calories, meaning that your calorie deficit can suddenly go from like 1,600 to 2,000. Like, it's not a huge difference, but when you are in a calorie deficit, every little bit does count. And high protein diets have many benefits in a fat loss journey. But here's one thing to be considerate of is like, you actually need to factor in that it does burn calories to digest your food. It's like it uses petrol to utilize petrol in the car, right? Same sort of situation. This car analogy is fabulous. You can use cars or bank accounts for like everything related to the body, I swear. Okay, number 4 is your exercise activity. I know you were waiting for when this one was to come in. So that's your structured training, your gym sessions, your cardio, everything that you deliberately do for your fitness. And here's the most humbling part. It's only about 5 to 10% of your total energy burn for most people, which is why you can't out-train your diet. The maths just doesn't math. It's not a big impact. And if it is going to have a big impact, it's a bloody long haul slog of a workout that you're going to have to do to make it actually have a significant impact on your fat loss journey. It is much more effective to adjust your food and to increase your steps, your NEAT. That's going to have more of an impact than how much exercise you're doing. Yes, exercise does play a role, but if you're like, I didn't do anything with my diet, I just started going to the gym to lose weight, I'm like, cool, the gym is not for weight loss. The gym is for building muscle, for getting stronger, protecting your bone density, improving your function, preventing injuries, improving your fitness. None of that is for weight loss. Like that's how you stop hating the gym so much. Anywho, I digress. That is your TDEE and where your daily calorie needs will come from. Now, why your numbers are unique to you. And this is where the whole generic calorie calculators, then the recommendations fall apart. A 1200 calorie recommendation is not based on your height, your weight, your age, your muscle mass, how active you are, how much you move throughout the day, how hard you train, what your hormones look like, what your history of dieting looks like, what your history of your body composition looks like, other things, what medications are you taking, and your unique metabolism. Like you could have 2 people with the exact same everything I mentioned, but you're still going to have different calorie needs because bodies are weird and they're just always going to have something different. And it's not always going to be one specific number. One day you may just happen to do a little bit more, so your energy output's a little bit higher. Some days you may do a little bit less, so your energy output's a little bit lower. It just naturally ebbs and flows, like the tide coming in and out. Your everything ebbs and flows. Nothing is one fixed number in human nature, in any sort of nature, any sort of biology. Nothing is one fixed number. It's always ebbing and flowing, pushing forward, coming back. Dialing the thermostat up and dialing the thermostat down. It's always upping and downing along the way. So it's never just one fixed number, but we just give you a fixed number because that's usually just how apps track. But even a little range can work really nicely. So your maintenance calories is going to be the amount of food that keeps your weight and your body fat stable. This could be 1,800 calories. It could be 2,200 calories. It could be 2,500 calories. Mine's about 2,500 calories personally. And I know most women's are above 2,000, but they're just too bloody scared to eat 2,000 calories. But you can have 2 women who can be the same height, the same weight, and have completely different calorie needs based on their body composition, activity levels, and everything else that I mentioned before. So that is why also comparing to someone else and doing whatever, don't do what Karen's doing at work because she's a different human being. Oh, she's eating 1,400 calories to lose weight, so I better do it too. No. Do what is right for you. And that number ain't going to stay the same. You got to be prepared to adapt it. So don't get locked in on one particular number and think that's you done for the rest of your life. Okay, here's the practical part, how to actually find your number. So method one, we can use a TDEE calculator as a starting point. There's some decent ones online and there's some shitty ones out online. I actually have one on my website. If you go to projectlivestrong.com, and you can see there's like free calorie calculator button up in the top corner. And that one will give you a nice estimate because it has a few different calculations embedded into it. So it gives you a bit of a range. Now, make sure you put your body fat percentage in because that will really affect the protein recommendation really badly, because if you don't put that in, it's going to totally screw up the protein calculation. So put an estimate for your body fat percentage in, and if you have no idea what body fat percentage you are, if you scroll down to that page, I have like photos to be like, this is what this looks like, this is roughly what this looks like it's not perfect, but it's an estimate. So just start there. If it tells you to have 200 grams of protein, then you've typed something in wrong, and if it tells you to have 80 grams of protein in, you've typed something in wrong. So just be aware of that. But yeah, you can do that, and it'll give you enter your age, your height, your weight, rough activity levels, and also your body fat percentage, and it will spit out an estimate, and it will be within a reasonable range of your actual maintenance, and use that as a starting point, not the be all and end all, a starting point. So then what you need to do, and this is another method, you can skip the calculator and jump to this next method, or you take that estimation and then you move on to this next step, which is track your intake and observe for 2 to 3, 4 weeks. And this is one of the most reliable approaches in practice because a calculator still doesn't know you individually. And so observing what your body actually does is the best thing that you can do when you track accurately. So you track your food consistently, accurately, everything you eat and drink for 2 weeks without changing anything. You can pick that, you can either take that estimated number or you can just do it as you are right now. And if your weight is stable across those 2 weeks, congratulations, you found your maintenance. That's your number. If your weight is going up over 2, 3, 4 weeks, not just one random spike, but consistently going up, you're in a surplus. If it's consistently going down, you're already in a deficit, and then you adjust from there based on what your goals are. Now, I keep emphasizing track accurately during this time period because I know some women who will go, I had 1,600 calories and I was putting on weight. And I'm like, I can guarantee you were not tracking accurately. There is no way. There is absolutely no way unless you have really tanked your metabolism through other sort of things that are happening. There's no way that you are tracking accurately. The oils, don't use cups, use grams. Don't forget your liquids. Don't forget the little bites, the nibbles, the bits and bobs here and there. Don't round things up, round things down. Check the entry item that you're using in MyFitnessPal. Some of them can be really dodge. So like if you're putting on a lot of weight and you're eating like 1,600 calories, you're definitely not tracking correctly consistently. The weekends matter, the little chocolate nibbles matter, the little sips and nibbles and bites and leftovers, they all count and need to be accounted for to actually get this picture first. Is it going to be a pain in the butt? Yeah, maybe. It's a lot of work at first. Is it worth it? Yeah. Because just eyeballing it and hoping for the best for another 5 years is even more annoying than taking the couple of weeks to really nail your tracking at first. And then if you didn't have that calculator to get you started with, then you can estimate from scratch. So if you want like a rough number without tracking, like a moderately active woman training a couple of times a week, decent steps, look anywhere between like 1,800 to 2,400 calories at maintenance. I know it's a wide range, but for most women, it's probably going to be closer to 1,900 to 2,200 if I had to dial it in. Most maintenance calories are going to sit somewhere within there. So you could start somewhere in there and just adjust based on how your body is responding. And another part to that is you can eat at your maintenance calories, hit a high protein diet, high fiber diet, whole foods, lift heavy weights and focus on building muscle and progressive overload, and you will actually recomp in your body. You can drop body fat, build muscle, improve the way you're looking, even at maintenance. It's a very slow process, but for some women, it actually can happen. Not for everyone. The more advanced you are, the harder that is. But for more newbies, you lucky buggers, you can eat it literally at maintenance calories and see phenomenal changes in your body without even having to go into a calorie deficit. Actually, one of my clients, Becky, she is one of the best examples of that. If you go lurk my Instagram, you'll find a photo where I've showed that she has never gone under 2,300 calories, and her progress from like being postpartum to where she is now bloody phenomenal. You'd think she'd been in a calorie deficit, dropped a stack of body fat and just like, but no, just maintenance calories, consistency, not even perfect. She's got 2 human beings and 2 jobs. Like, it's not perfect, but she just absolutely smashes. Her consistency and her progress is absolutely phenomenal. Like, you guys will be shocked. So go have a little lurky, because yeah, most women I find are genuinely shocked when they find their maintenance calories is a lot higher than they thought, especially if they've been chronically under eating and their metabolism has kind of adapted to that as well. So another thing that can happen is if you've kind of adapted to this lower calorie intake, and that's, you're fidgeting less, you're moving less because you've been eating less for so long, like your body's just trying to survive on lower calories, it adapts. And so that becomes like your new norm. As you bring your calories up to a higher, healthier standpoint with your maintenance calories, the scale is probably going to go up a little bit, because as you bring more carbohydrates into your body, that means you're going to store more water and carbs in your muscles, which is a very good thing. That's how we give those muscles those big, full, bubbly effect, and also how we give them energy to function. So at first, it's not uncommon for the scale to spike up a little bit, like 2-3 kilos, as you're increasing your calories, but your body fat's not going to change. You're not putting on body fat, you're just changing what's happening in your body, and it's going from a flat state to a fed state in a really good way. This is a positive. So don't freak out too much if the scale does go up like 2 or 3 kilos. That's pretty normal. But if you see it continually going up, then you're like, oh, okay, maybe I'm in a surplus and I need to like dial it in. But also, like, if you're in a maintenance for like 6 days and then you just go whatever the hell you want or 5 days, and then you go whatever the hell you want Saturday, Sunday, yeah, that you're in a surplus. Like, so just be mindful of that as well before you blame maintenance calories for making you put on weight, because if you're eating a true maintenance, you don't put on body fat. Like, that's just, there's no 2 cents about it. But you could put on weight if you're building muscle. That could happen, but the body fat won't change. You gotta monitor it in other ways beyond the scale, as I talk about all the time. Okay, so once you have your maintenance estimate, let's set a fat loss deficit. A sustainable, effective deficit depends how long's a piece of string. Some women will have really negative effects at 20% of a deficit. Some women need to have a 15% deficit and they roll with that. Some women can handle 25% deficit. If your maintenance calories are really high, maybe you can handle a 30% deficit. If your maintenance calories are 1800, you ain't going to do a 30% deficit. That's getting a bit brutal. So it does depend on your body, what you can actually be consistent with. And if you're like, but I really want to lose weight this quickly, but I just can't stay consistent on these really low calories, it's like, well, then just accept that weight loss is going to be a little bit slower for you, so you can actually be in a deficit that you can stay consistent with, so you don't blow out and keep rebounding all the weight back on again. So you got to be a bit realistic with your expectations sometimes. And realistically, like 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week is perfect in a fat loss phase. So if you are 70 kilos, that's going to look like 350 grams to 700 grams per week. If you are a 100 kilo person, that is 500 grams to a kilo per week. So you need to set realistic expectations about how much body fat you can actually lose per week to minimize the risk of losing your muscle mass. So I've just rambled off a lot of different numbers, and I did say I wasn't going to make you do too much maths, but that is like, so if your calories are 2,000 calories, like your maintenance calories, and you want to start on a 20% deficit, then that's just going to be, all right, take, 400 calories off. So start at 1,600 calories. Like, that is one thing that you could do. But I also think that you want to try and keep your calories as high as you can and still see effective progress, because then you have more room to move. As your body adapts, you're going to have to adjust your calories, and it's nicer to diet on higher food. So the higher you can have your calories and see consistent results, the better. Less of an impact and stress on your body as well. So, for many women, a sustainable effective deficit, you could start anywhere from 250 to 500 calories below your maintenance. I'd avoid 500 calories unless your maintenance calories are quite high. 300 calories maybe to start with is like pretty decent starting point for most women, if I'm going to give you a rough rule of thumb. But again, how long's a piece of string? Everyone's unique, everyone's different, everyone needs an approach that works for them. But aggression and speed is not always the best answer if you cannot stay consistent with it either. And we don't want to risk losing our muscle mass. We don't want the negative metabolic adaptations, extreme hunger, and risk a binge restrict cycle. Some Ladies, you just got to accept you're not cut out for being in that calorie deficit discomfort, and you need to go a little bit gentler on yourself and do it in smaller phases with consistent maintenance breaks. And that's totally fine. Don't compare to anyone else's journey but your own. So in my experience, moderate deficits sustained over time with regular maintenance breaks produces better long-term results than aggressive deficits that you can only hold for 2 weeks. And here's one thing I want to challenge you on here. A lot of women are terrified to eat more, even when the evidence is staring them in the face, even when they're exhausted and flat and their training is suffering. But what if I gain weight? Again, if you're eating at your maintenance, your actual maintenance, you will not gain body fat. You may hold a little extra water as it adjusts. The scale may go up a tiny bit, but in the short term, but you cannot gain fat eating at your maintenance. That is literally the point of maintenance calories. What happens for a lot of women who have been chronically under eating and they finally eat enough, they feel better, they train better, their mood improves, and often and eventually the fat loss that had stalled will be able to start moving again because the body is no longer holding back and you're able to actually stay consistent. So eating enough is not a threat to your results, but eating too little might be the reason why you don't have them then. So hopefully from the end of this episode, you understand your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, the energy that your body needs, or how much petrol your car needs to get you from A to B, and how if you have too much, you store it as jerry cans, and if you don't have enough, then you use the jerry cans to add more petrol, which is like how you drop body fat, and that your number is unique to you, and different techniques that you can use to get started with your calories. Now that's calories. I haven't even talked macros. I'm gonna have to say that for another episode, but we can definitely talk macros in another episode if you find that valuable. And if you want to learn how to track your macros and your calories and understand this a little bit more, I actually have a masterclass on this where I break it all down. So just jump onto Instagram and message me macros masterclass, please, and I will send you the direct link. Thanks so much for listening. If you found this episode valuable, please rate, review, and subscribe. And I'd love if you shared this on your Instagram and tag me Sammy_livestrong. And if you'd like to learn more about my coaching and join the Project Livestrong family, please message me Livestrong on Instagram and I'll see how I can help. I'll see you next time.